Welcome back to the news today. This is One-on-One. Itzhak Shoham has served in the Israeli Foreign Office for nearly 42 years. He served in Israeli embassies in Italy, Turkey, Singapore, Paraguay, and as the ambassador to Thailand, where an assassination attempt on his life by Iranian nationalists was foiled by local authorities. He joins me tonight here in the studio. Good evening, Ambassador Shoham.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
I think it's a really critical time to talk about the foreign policy of Israel because the government just collapsed and a lot of people are talking about if Israel had any foreign policy in the last few years, and it seems that it became harder and harder each and every year to advocate Israel, to try and explain the acts that Israel is doing, if it's for the good or if it's for the bad. Is it so?
Well, I don't see that that way. It's true that it's not easy to present the case of Israel, but in most of the places at the decisional levels, there is a understanding of the situation, the crisis that is going in the last few years through the Middle East with all the extremist Islamic movements, the IS, the Boko Haram, the Taliban, you name it. The problem is that even those decision makers depend on public opinion, and public opinion is the most difficult task to tackle.
The public opinion on Israel is not that good.
Yeah, this is exactly what I mean. Yeah, because the decision makers understand the reality, but the public opinion doesn't. So this is a hard struggle to try to present, because we live. You deal with the media. A picture of a baby, of a child being killed, is much harder than explaining that missiles are flying over our and so this makes the difficult task.
A lot of people will try, and I don't want to put you in the spot too much, but a lot of people will say that maybe Israel is suffering from a bad image because a lot of the, let's say, leaders of the world don't like the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And because they don't like it, it seems that it makes the Foreign Office's work much harder than it already is. How much is it influencing your job? How much is the personal relationship between the leaders is affecting your job?
It's a very difficult question. Even though that I'm retired now and I feel much freer to speak than 2 weeks ago. But I don't think that this is the point. I don't think that the difficulties are because of personal relations between the Prime Minister and other leaders. The Prime Minister is very welcomed wherever he goes, and Prime Ministers and presidents of countries come and visit, and I participate in several of the meetings, and the feeling is quite good.
Yeah, but
sometimes, you talk about very focal and sensitive points that we don't have to face them in our job, diplomatic job, in daily.
Exactly at this point, because the diplomatic job is different than the politician's job. Sometimes you need to do, let's say, the dirty work for the politicians. You need to explain. You need to show the different, maybe, reality. You need to change because you are there. You are experiencing each and everything in this specific country. And how does it sometimes? Did you find yourself like maybe fighting a politician and telling him, okay, you don't know what you're talking about because I'm living here. This is how it works here, and this is how you should do it, or this is the way that you should look at it?
In our job, you don't come to such a situation that you tell your counterpart you don't understand, you don't know what are you talking about. Yeah, our task is just to bridge the differences. And I think that you have always room to do that. You don't have to enter into the corners. You take the big image and you try to present it and avoiding the most problematic angles. So this is our profession. This is what we are paid for.
and you paid
not very good salary, but we are paid for
and
it.
You just fought for it.
Yeah,
a few months ago, and you paid also almost paid a personal price when we just said at the beginning of this interview that you survived an assassination attempt by Iranian extremists. What happened that day?
Well, as a matter of fact, there were Iranian cells that came in order to blow up some Israeli diplomats, myself in the first place.
In Thailand?
In Thailand, in Bangkok. They were waiting for me at the lunchtime that I usually used to leave. That day, because of a very serious alert that we received from Jerusalem, I didn't leave the office at the lunchtime, and they waited, and when they saw there were two men in two motorbikes waiting with the explosives, they went back to their apartment and they tried to put again to armor, and they just blow up. One was wounded. They ran away, and all the story was in the newspapers. Nowadays, two of them are in prison in Thailand, have been sentenced, one for 15 years, the other I don't know. The third one is in Malaysia, waiting for extradition, and another two ran away, a lady and a man. They took the plane to Tehran.
You know, you talked just before about that the job of a diplomat is creating the bridges between and between countries, between the politicians, between. Just Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, after Operation Protective Edge, he said that there is this new horizon in the Middle East with new allies from the moderate Arab countries. Do you think that this possibility, from your experience, from what you saw, is actually a reality? Is there any modern Arab countries that are willing to have diplomatic relationship or creating these bridges between Israel and Arab countries?
Well, as I said, as a retired, I now can speak freely. First thing, I believe that there is a new horizon, and there are moderate Arab countries that they understand that Israel is not the enemy, and that Israel is part of the region and can contribute to the development of the region. On the other hand, I'm convinced that we need to find a solution with the Palestinians in order to create this new horizon. Without a solution with the Palestinians, it will be very difficult for any Arab leader to reach an agreement with Israel in the open without being...
Although it seems that the Palestinian problem is not that important anymore because the world is dealing with Daesh and Syria and other problems.
We cannot change the facts, and the facts are that Palestinians are at the center of the interest of Europeans and of course Arabs and Muslims, and of course in other parts of the world where the Muslims prevail. I've seen that in Asia, in Indonesia, with whom we don't have relations, and I try to talk to them. I talked with many Indonesians, and I told them, why are you sacrificing your national interests of relations with Israel for, and they say, the Ummah. We are Muslims.
The nation.
We are Muslims.
The nation. Mr. Shoham, thank you very much for coming to our studio. And thank you, our viewers, for being with us tonight. Tomorrow we'll be here at the same time, same place from the Jaffa Port, Israel. Have a great night.